Very beautiful Friday evening, viewers, wherever you're watching us from. This is Spotlight with Chinaza on Kaftan Television here in Abuja, where we're reaching you from, and I am Chinaza Asewu. And today we'll be throwing our weight on the presidential declaration of state of emergency. And in that regard, President Bola Tinubu has declared national security state of emergency amid the dramatic surge in kidnappings, mass abduction, especially of school children, and repeated deadly attacks by terrorist bandits and armed men in many cities, including Kebbi, Niger, Zamfara, Borno, Kwara, Yobe, and others. In his address, President Tinubu ordered the Nigerian police force to recruit an additional 20,000 officers, bringing new intake to 50,000. Use of camps belonging to the National Youth Service Corps (NYSC) as temporary training facilities to speed up deployment. Now, redeployment of personnel to also withdraw VIP guard duties will be cash trained and deployed to high-risk areas. The Department of State Services, that's the DSS, to immediately deploy all trained forest guards to recruit more to flush out terrorists and bandits hiding in the forest. President Tinubu also urged the National Assembly to consider legal reforms that would help bring all of these to reality. Well, we've seen the presidency and of course the federal government making move to bring an end to the insecurity that is been facing us as a nation, and so far we've applauded the federal government and of course the president also for taking these decisive steps, and we are hopeful that at the end of it all Nigeria would have something to celebrate. So that's where I'll be throwing our weight this evening. But before I bring in my guests to help us make sense of all of that, let's go on this short break, and when we return we get into the conversation, so do stay right there with us. Welcome back from that break. This is the Spotlight with Chinaza on Kaftan Television, and I'm being joined by Dr. Victor Kwamboge, who is a sustainable development expert and also a youth advocate. He joins me live in the studio to help us dissect all of this, the insecurity, the declaration made by Mr. President in tackling insecurity. It's always a pleasure to have you, and thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Really do appreciate.
Thank you.
Now let's begin. It does look like the federal government are really willing to take political will this time around in tackling insecurity. But the question is, why now?
Okay. Thank you so much, and good evening to you and to your viewers. Like the English people will say, it's better late than never. You are right. Nigeria has grappled with the twin problems of bad governance and bad economy before now. From 2009 till date, approximately 2 decades today, we have added insecurity to the serious problems that are bedeviling us as a people. And this problem has actually resulted into a lot of damages for the country, damages in terms of our economy, damages in terms of development, damages in terms of our employment rate, all the indices of development that you can think about. Unemployment, insecurity has actually been a very serious problem to our society. So when you say why now, I agree with the sentiments of the people that are thinking, because this is a problem that has been at the front burner for a long time. People actually expected successive governments from the Yar'Adua government, the Jonathan's government, the Buhari's government, and now the Tinubu's government. So many people expected that the government ought to have been more proactive rather than reactive. So it's good that some steps are taken today, and you can even be the most staunchest critic of this current administration, but you must admit that, honestly speaking, for the first time in so many years, we are seeing a very drastic step taken towards addressing this problem of insecurity that seemed to become a national problem. In the past, or in few months ago, you will agree that maybe it's happening in some parts of the country, but today it's a national problem. There is nowhere you look at from all the nooks and crannies of this country, you will definitely see that there are so many issues of you know, kidnapping, banditry, insurgency. In fact, we have so many nomenclatures added to our dictionary today. And that is actually because with regards to insecurity. In the past, we do not know what is ISWAP, who is an IPOP member, who is a bandit, who is this, who is that. But today, almost every time you tune into your television station, the radio station, newspapers, the news is always one: the problem of abductions, the problems of kidnapping. And kudos to the Tinubu administration for actually taking the lead in ensuring that they are becoming more proactive these days rather than becoming reactive. Now,
are recruitment and deployment enough to tackle insecurity, or should we talk about the policy reforming? Are there policies that need to be reformed?
Yeah, so a few days ago, the president actually declared emergency in the security sector. So part of the things he itemized are the issues of recruiting new personnel. So I asked myself, are we dealing with the problem of quantity or quality? Because if you look at, yes, quantity-wise, we may be lagging behind when you look at the UN recommendation of how many policemen are supposed to be for, you know, for the entire citizens. Right now, I think we are more than 200 million population. And I heard that, I don't know how accurate is that, we have about 370,000 policemen or thereabout, even though some people said it's 177 or so. So if you juxtapose that with the numbers of the citizens we have, maybe mathematically you look at the ratio, you will see that quantity-wise we are still lagging behind. But I'm more concerned about the quality. Quality in the sense that, what is the motivation level for the current crop of military, police, paramilitary, and what have you, all these personnel that we have in the country? How are we dealing with them? What about the equipment wise? What about, you know, all of those things that any time there is an attack, you will hear that the bandits, the terrorists are having more sophisticated weapons than ours. Yes. So are we dealing with the problem of quality of what we have in terms of resources, in terms of equipment, and in terms of manpower, or we are having a problem of quantity? Maybe how many people do we have to fight? To me, I think we are battling with the two. But most importantly, I think the government need to address the problem of resources. We need to have more resources. We need to have more equipment. We need to invest more in our security architecture if we are serious about winning the war against insecurity in this country.
Now, you mentioned about being serious. That word beg for the question: the recruitment and deployment, is it enough to tackle insecurity, or who are those that are going to vet and these people to be sure that they are well trained and ready for the job? Actually, because you're actually very correct when you said the bandits have more sophisticated. I spoke with a security expert a few days ago, and he actually confirmed that the bandits have more sophisticated arms than the military forces. So I'm worried on how we are going to achieve a positive result.
Now, my worries are even in tripartite forms. Number one, I agree with you. I have a problem with the equipment, with the quality of equipment we have. Number one, I have a problem with the quantity, the number, just like I rightly established. Then again, I have a problem with the kind of systems we have as a people. I'm a human resource consultant, and I can confirm to you that one of the serious problems we have in this country is the problem of recruitment. We are all Nigerians. We know what is happening. How are people recruited into public service in Nigeria? What are the methodology in recruiting people into the force? Sometimes you hear a lot of allegations of people paying to get recruited into this kind of services. You hear allegations of, you know, recruitment processes being flaunted for what they call the Nigerian factor. So this is a serious problem. It's a serious problem because if we are not going to conduct a merit-based recruitment where only the best of the best end up getting recruited into the police force, into the army, into all these paramilitary services, then we are in a serious problem.
That was makes sense when you say better recruitment.
So better recruitment in the sense that you insist of getting the best, merit-based. When I say merit-based, only the most deserving end up getting enlisted into the force. But the current system where we have, like I said, there are a lot of allegations of people have to pay their way, people have to pay some sums of money, people buy these jobs. These are obvious realities that we have in the country. And I don't know where we are going in this kind of direction, whereby the police force, the military, and all those paramilitary organizations, these are supposed to be the pride of the nation. These are supposed to be outfits where we are supposed to have only the brave of the bravest. As a political scientist, maybe let me go a little bit academic. I will tell you that one of the ancient philosophers, Plato, said something. In fact, he categorized the human part into three: the head, the breast, and the stomach. Now, according to Plato's recommendation, people that have the high breast instinct are supposed to be in the force. They are supposed to join the police. They are supposed to join the military, because in his own postulations, these are people that are more courageous. These are people that are bold and what have you. Now, his postulations may sound academic, may sound philosophical, but you will agree with me that there are people in the society that naturally, this is where they belong. These are people that are confident in tackling any kind of challenges. These are people that are always brave. These are people that are courageous. Now, to what extent do we even inculcate some of these virtues in our recruitment system? You have a situation whereby in many cases, in many families, it is the bad ships that end up getting enlisted into the uniform jobs in court, and in many cases you have a situation whereby it is the people that have the highest money that end up getting recruited. So I have a problem with the recruitment process. Yes, the president may declare that we should recruit more personnel to join the force, but I will also ask a further question: what is going to be the methodology for recruiting those people to join the force? If we are to conduct a merit-based recruitment whereby we have the exams, we have our best brains, we have a standardized recruitment process where the best of the best end up getting recruited, then I will tell you that we are halfway into solving the problem. But if the status quo is to be maintained, where all this, the recruitment process is, so many people do not even have confidence in the process. Some people will tell you that even before they apply, the selected people.
I hear that a lot.
So I hear that a lot. Like I said, it's an allegation that sounds like an allegation, but it is the reality. We are all living in this country, and of course we know these things are truly happening, and it's very unfortunate actually.
Okay, so just so this doesn't look like one of the cases that it's being flared up and after a while it's being swept under carpet. What national security indicator can be used to measure the success of this state of emergency declaration? Because like I said, we've seen cases where things will just come up in this country and you think, the government is actually on it. Before you know, it dies off. Yeah,
so for me, I will tell you that some of the few indicators that I expect to see in the coming days for me to know that the declaration of the emergency rule is actually yielding results is: number one, maybe a decreased cases of abductions, kidnapping, and all those pockets of attacks that we see here and there. Number one. Secondly, I want to see a more proactive approach from the government. And when I say government this time around, I'm not just restricting my analysis to the federal government. I'm looking at the state government. I'm looking at the local government as well. So this cosmetic approach, when I say cosmetic approach, I'm talking about these approaches where you talk about closure of schools, people should not build schools in the bush, people should not do this, people should not do that. For crying out loud, for how long are we going to keep the gates of our schools closed because of the problems of insecurity? Remember, Section 14 of the Nigerian Constitution talks about the security of lives and property of the citizens become the cardinal duty of the government. So when you say you are closing down schools because of the problem of insecurity, are we indirectly admitting or accepting defeat? Or are we now saying that to some extent they are winning the war, just as their name implies? In the Northeast, they say Boko Haram. And when they say Boko Haram, direct translation in English, it simply means that Western education is sin. So are we now adding credence to what they are actually saying in terms of their ideology?
So you're saying the closure of schools shouldn't have come up?
It's a cosmetic approach, like I said. Instead, I prefer the government taking more proactive approach.
Like?
Take the problem of the fight against the insurgents to them. Instead of saying you are closing the school and you are returning the students back home, why don't you strategize with the security personnel, the police, and all the security architecture? Take the war to them and let them know that we are actually equal to the task. But when you say it's like an enemy coming to attack your home and you're saying that you are relocating your family to another place because you don't want the enemy to attack, indirectly you are emboldening the enemy, and indirectly you are telling the enemy that, truly speaking, you are powerful. Let me go back and think of the best way to come back to you. And that is to some extent an acceptance of defeat. So what I'm saying is that all these grammars that we keep hearing on the television, kinetic, non-kinetic, security architecture, this and that, I will prefer, as in terms of indicators, for me to see a decreased rate of abductions in the country. At least we should go 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 3 months without hearing of cases of these abductions, these crazy, people going to schools to pick innocent children, primary schools and what have you. So these are the indicators I would want to see.
But we also heard that in KB that there was an intelligence indication that something like that was going to happen. And some of the military men were on ground just few minutes after they left. But then we're still on the question of who ordered them to leave, who gave the order. But if you're saying that schools shouldn't close down, don't you think it's exposing to our children to more harms? And right now, let's know, it does look like the military is overwhelmed. We are talking about them having more sophisticated arms than our military forces. And we're also talking about, to me, I don't know, you don't think?
So, yeah, so that has actually taken us back to what I said. We need to take the war to them. We need to be more serious.
But are we prepared enough to face?
Okay, so when I say we need to be more proactive in tackling this problem of insecurity, it's a holistic statement. Holistic statement in the sense that it must first start from our preparedness level. To what extent are we even prepared to go into this? To what extent do you talked about political will earlier on. To what extent do we have the political will to ensure that we deal with these problems of insecurity? Then again, you talked about the problem of, or the issue of, there was an intelligence report that there's going to be an attack. Few minutes before the attack, military guys were withdrawn and there was an attack and what have you. And that has actually unearthed a very big problem that we have in the society, interagency collaboration. To what extent are all these security outfits we have in the country, talking about the DSS, talking about the military, talking about the police, the civil defense corps, to what extent do all of these agencies collaborate in the fight against insurgency? Right now, it seems as though everybody is on his own. Maybe the DSS can do their own intelligence gathering, share it with the relevant authorities, and arms are folded. And at the end of the day, whatsoever you do with the intelligence report is your own business. The military, on the other hand, there was an intelligence report from the DSS or from NIA, or whichever agency that is responsible for that. To what extent do these agencies collaborate in this fight? Where there is no interagency collaboration, I'm telling you, we are 1,000 miles away from defeating these insurgents. The best way is for all of this security, what you call security architecture, to ensure that all hands are on deck, to ensure that there is a proper synergy, to ensure that people, these different agencies work in sync to ensure that they are fighting towards one objective. But where the objective is about outshining the other, where the objective is about who is more proactive, or when the attack happened, after all, we've done our own job, it is you that actually dropped the ball. All this approach is not going to take us anywhere. The best approach, like I said, is for a proper interagency for collaboration, is for a proper synergy between all and sundry, the political class, the military outfit, the police outfit, and all those, even the community. When I talk about the community, sometimes this intelligence can emanate from the community. Sometimes these community people can see a lot of strange faces. They can, of course, report to the military. But sometimes what we see in the northeast, in the northwest, is the military also talking about the fact that sometimes what kind of intelligence do they even get from the community? The traditional rulers, the religious leaders. So it is a very, very big problem that we have in our hands. And the big problems require big solutions.
All right. We also heard Mr. President ordering the withdrawal of police attached to VIPs and all that, and some have applauded it. We also saw, I think, a lawmaker who has opposed to that it's going to endanger. But then Nigerians are skeptical about whether that's going to even happen at all. So
I made an analysis yesterday when I heard the IGP talking about the total number of policemen attached to VIPs. I think he talked about 10,000 or 11,566. And I searched the total number of policemen in some African countries. And I saw that what we have attached to VIPs is more than the totality of the police force in so many African countries. Countries like Togo, countries like Gambia, countries like Guinea-Bissau. Most of these countries have less than 10,000. In fact, I think Togo, one of the countries, have just 4,100 police force for the entire country. In Nigeria, we have about more than 10,000 just attached to VIPs. Tell me, I think when the Ministry of Education announced last week that they are closing down 47 schools, Are we saying that when we deploy just this number that you attach to VIPs carrying bags here and there, when you attach this number to protect these 47 schools, are we going to have a case of closure of schools today? The answer is a big no. I am not ignorant of the fact that training is required. I'm not ignorant of the fact that equipment is required. But where there is a holistic approach, where there is a holistic effort to ensure that these problems is tackled, this number is good enough to actually stop or forestall any kind of occurrence that would have resulted into the closure of schools. But the problem, like I said, is we prefer to be more cosmetic than being proactive. And when we are just being cosmetic, oh, we love to play to the gallery, this kind of news, Chinaza, to a reasonable extent, they are very good for the headlines. Good for the headlines on your TV, on the newspapers and what have you. But in terms of practical reality, in terms of the people that are actually feeling the brunt of these problems of insecurity, I'm telling you, we are doing a very big disservice to our people. More than 10,000 policemen just protecting VIPs. To what extent, what protection are they even providing? Most of them, like I said, they carry bags, they carry these, they are just errand boys and girls at the end of the day. So if these people are, so for the first time, I'm telling you, I am hugely impressed with what this step that the president has taken. It's a very good step in the right direction, and I hope that the IGP will ensure that this
is being implemented, because that's just another thing with this country. Yes. We keep making laws that are not being implemented.
Exactly. This is not even the first time that the police is actually making this kind of declaration. I think during Buhari's government, there was an order like this. I think this is the third time today, if my memory serves me right. The implementation has always been a problem. Sometimes we hear this kind of declaration, people applaud, people clap. At the end of the day, you still see some security personnel surrounding politicians, surrounding their wives, surrounding their children, escorting them to supermarket and what have you. When the country is actually boiling, when the country is grappling with serious problems, when the life of the common man, when the common man in the village, in Kwantagora, in Kauranamoda, in Unsuka, in so many places, so many people cannot be able to go to their farms in peace because they are afraid. And so we are actually shooting ourselves on the foot if we are dragging the implementation of these kind of steps taken by the president.
All right. This warfare that is facing Nigeria is not something we just can face with bare hands and arms alone. We can't shy away from the need or the fact that technology and intelligence gathering is highly valued. But do you think we've gotten to that extent?
We are very far from that, my sister. When I say we are far from that, there is most of the countries that have gone far, most of the developed countries, they don't fight insurgency, terrorism, banditry, criminals the way we are fighting. We fight them mechanically, let me use that word. We fight them manually. The fight against insurgents is better when it is technology driven, when it is driven by intelligence report, when it is driven by sophistication of manpower, sophistication of tools, equipment, gadgets, technologies, etc. So that is the best way to fight this kind of. But when you say you are fighting insurgents and you are actually depending on roadside analysis, you are depending on where people gather in the market square to just have their discussion, that is where you are picking. I think we are very far from that. So as a society, I will tell you that we are very far from that. When I see our personnel, both the military, the police, the civil defense, etc., and I just see from afar, I definitely know that in terms of technology driven fight against insurgency, we are very far from achieving that.
So is there hope that this battle or this challenge facing us as a nation would be dealt with in no distant time? Because the truth remains that we can't do this without intelligent gathering.
So I hope that the current tempo that is taken by the government is going to be sustained. Whether it is motivated by Donald Trump's tweets, like the critics will say, I don't know. But I hope that these days, like what I keep hearing these days, what I keep seeing these days over the media, or the president is meeting with the security chiefs, or the president has made, or the IGP is doing this, or the chief of defense staff is doing this. So I hope that this tempo is going to be sustained, and the sustainability of this tempo must also be supported by a lot of investment in terms of resources, investment in terms of political will, investment in terms of recruitment, the manpower you talked about, investment in all facets and ramifications of our paraphernalia for fighting this kind of insurgency. The problem of the technology that you talked about, fine, is going to be. Yesterday I saw a very beautiful initiative where our National Security Advisor NSA was at the US, and they formed what they call a joint task force with the military. So I hope that the aspect of the technology part, the aspect of the manpower part, the aspect of inter-country collaboration now is actually going to be strengthened, so that they can actually help us with what they know, with what they have, so that we can augment or complement with what we have on ground. Of course, we can defeat that. But I just hope that along the way, my fear personally is that 2026 is by the corner. 2026 is a political year. I hope all of this effort is not going to be overtaken by politicking. I hope that when I saw a few days ago that the DG of 2027 presidential campaigns are beginning to be appointed, when I saw that even the opposition parties right now, they are more concerned about who becomes their presidential candidate, how will they ensure that they outsmart the APC, what have you. In short, or in sum, I am saying that I hope that the politicking of 2026 is not going to overtake this current effort that we are seeing. If this current effort is sustained by the Tinubu-led administration, I am highly optimistic that in no distant time we are going to see an improvement. Am I talking about eradication? No, but I'm talking about an improvement of the problem of security that is currently bedeviling our people.
All right, let me get your take on what you think about state policing, because I remember a time when the issue of state policing was brought up in the House. It was debated. Some people kicked against it. Some are of the opinion that if it should go ahead, that some state governors would use these people to their own benefit and would have to be the ones to decide. But as it is right now, we cannot do without state policing. It has become something very necessary. And also, we're talking about our borders. How porous are our borders, because we've seen cases where a report gathering tells us that these people, most of them are not even Nigerians. They are people that either they came from either Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, or this neighboring country. And we have also seen the report that says that nearly 2,000 of our borders, just 84 of it is being manned. And I'm wondering, if 84 out of nearly 2,000 is being manned, how are we going to get over this? Let me get your take on what you think about state policing and our borders.
So first, state policing. Yes, I'm an advocate of state police. I believe in that. But I also believe that it is like solving 1 out of 5 problems that we have. What I would have preferred that the legislature prioritize is the issue of a holistic reform of our policing system. Yes, state policing is one of the way to go. It's one of the reforms that we need in the country. But I think there is a need for a holistic reforms. Holistic reforms in the sense that, first, we should talk about how we can even improve people's confidence in the police. So many, if you take a statistics as an investigative journalist now, go to the street, ask people their confidence level in our policing system. You'll be shocked with the kind of answers you get. Nigerians do not even have confidence in the policing system. That should start from there. Second, you talk about the recruitment process. How do they recruit people into the police force? They need to stop selling these jobs. They need to stop this idea of, compromising the recruitment standard, exchange of money, exchange for some gratifications and what have you. Again, they need to build, or they need to inject a lot of integrity into the police force. Then what about the welfare of the police force? You see situations whereby sometimes on the screen of your TV, you see retired policemen protesting against protesting, begging for their entitlement, their gratuities, their pension. What message do you think that is going to send to the normal policeman that is currently serving? So state policing, like I said, is one, because it is a kind of policing system that is going to that is going to improve the intelligence driven police force that you talked about, because of course you have people that are from a community manning the security system in their communities. But if you have people from that very community, you've not addressed the problem of their welfare, you've not addressed the problem of their training and development, you've not addressed the problem of building confidence of the people into the police force. It is like shooting a mosquito with a gun, which is a waste of bullet. So at the end of the day, instead of pushing state policing every day, we should advocate for a general reform of our policing system, so that we can have a policing system where an average man on the streets will see a policeman as his friend, not just a slogan that exists on the that just exists on banners or on the screens of television station. An average man will actually have confidence that yes, the police is actually here to protect me. With this policeman, I think I'm safe from any kind of attacks that is going to happen to me. We should have a policing system whereby people should actually see them. They should walk with their shoulders high, rather than just having them on the street, you know. In fact, the whole thing is just horrific. So yes, I am confident that the state policing system is the way to go, but I prefer a more holistic approach towards solving the problem. Your second question,
the borders.
Yes,
borders.
That actually takes me back to the issue I told you about, interagency collaboration. Under normal circumstances, which agencies are responsible for our borders? You talk about the immigration, you talk about the customs. Yes. To what extent do these agencies collaborate with the internal security outfits that we have in the country? Talking about the police now, talking about the civil defense. So where the collaboration level is not much, when every security outfit exists as if they are working for a different country, as if they are working for different governments, it automatically makes the work so frustrating. So the problem of, you know, talking about these borders is not a problem of us having scarcity of security outfit. The kind of security systems that we have in this country is enough. I'm not talking about the number of the personnel now. I'm talking about their numbers. Civil defense, you have forest guard, you have this, you have that. Now, the number of these security outfits that we have, under normal circumstances, with good political will, with strategic recruitment, with proper investment in terms of resources, we should not be having these problems of influx of foreigners coming to cause mayhem in our own country. But I agree with you when you say most of these criminal elements that we have in this country, most of them are not even citizens of the country. And it's very correct, because sometimes you hear victims saying that these criminals actually speak in languages that they don't even understand. Sometimes, you know, when you even see their faces, of course, you know that these people are not from here. But what can we say? When the border system are so porous, anybody can just come in at will, go out at will. You know, there is no proper a database that will actually screen who a Nigerian is and who a non-Nigerian is, where the security outfit are not working in close synergy and collaboration. It actually makes it very difficult for us to actually manage our border system. And when the border system are not being managed, of course, we will continue to lament every day about the influx of these elements.
Now, rapid recruitment and training are expensive. And there are fears about infiltration, vetting, and whether newly recruited forces will be adequately prepared. And it's no news that these things that we need when we talk about the arms, equipment that will be used in eradicating insecurity is quite expensive. But another question is, do you think Nigeria even have the money at the moment? Because the 2025 budget hasn't even started performing, and this is a critical issue that needs to be addressed. So even if at the end of the day, the government of President Bola Tinubu, even if insecurity is the only thing they can be remembered for, I think that will go a long way. But then, do you think Nigeria have the fund for all of this right now?
Good question. So when you say it's very expensive to train, I will be quick to also tell you that it's even more expensive not to train, because the kind of damages that you will see because of ineptitude, because of ignorance, because of lack of proper training of personnel, the cost cannot be quantified in monetary terms. So yes, trainings are expensive. Personal development, developing our personnel can be a bit expensive. But I will also tell you that it's even more expensive for you to say you are not going to train. I will also add by telling you that it is the lack of proper training that have actually brought us to this problem that we are talking about this evening. Now, as a political economist, one of the things that is very, very difficult for me to understand is when journalists, financial experts ask questions about whether we have the money.
The government will always tell us that we don't have money.
Whether the government have the money. I ask this because if we say the government do not have the money, I will be quick to wonder, where do they get the money to fund all of those kind of excesses that we have in the society? Today, we have a system whereby the overhead cost of the government is actually one of the most expensive, as far as my memory can remember. The most expensive in the sense that, look at the kind of vehicles that we have around by government officials. Here, I'm not just talking about the legislature, because every day people talk about, oh, senators, oh, House of Reps, they drive a lot of expensive vehicles. But truth be told, they are not the only people that drive expensive vehicles in the country. It's a general problem. Go to the states, go and see the vehicles that the governors, the commissioners, the this, the that, local government chairman. So when we say we don't have the money, how comes we always have money for all of these kind of excesses? How comes every time you hear, a lot of trillions of naira, being invested in some kinds of sectors that you will wonder, to what extent does this kind of investment trickle down to affect positively or to improve the life of the common man? Mind you, Dudley C.S., one of the development scholars in 1969, when he was being asked what development is, what is national development, he said, if you are talking about the development of any country, 3 questions need to be asked. He said, the first, you need to ask what is happening to poverty. The second, he said, you must ask what is happening to unemployment. And number 3, you must ask what is happening to inequality. That if these 3 indices are actually rising from low to high, you cannot talk about development of the country. But if they are dropping from high to low, then yes, you can talk about development. Now, if we say the country do not really have money, the country is not financially buoyant enough.
That's what the government keeps telling us. It's not what we said. The government said they don't have money.
Yes, that is why I said I'm always confused whenever I hear this, because I hear it a lot, not just from you. I hear when people say, oh, we right now we don't have money, we have to borrow.
In fact, our debt has risen to 1.5
yes.
to
so every time they say
trillion.
we have to borrow before we do this and that, but again, we always have money, like I said, to do some kind of activities that have little or no bearing to the life of the common man. And that is where the problem is. So I do not believe that resources is the problem. Our country is blessed. I know very well that the country is blessed. As a young man below the age of 40, I know very well that from my childhood, even while I was growing up, I heard that there was a time in this country where a head of state actually declared that the problem he has is not money, but what to do with the money, how to spend the money. In this very country. It is in this country also where we had policies like the PTF, Petroleum Trust Fund, where there was free books. Then I think in primary school or in the early years of my secondary school, I met free textbooks, I met free furniture. That was during military government. I don't think the resources they had then can be compared with what we have now. But again, I enjoyed free furniture. All the furniture that I sat on in the public school I attended had PTF, boldly encrypted. I had textbooks free of charge. And you go to the hospital, you have. So when they say now that money is the problem, even with the removal of subsidy, even with all of these things, honestly, it is more like a case of abracadabra. The more you look, the less you see.
Abracadabra. That's where we have to end the show this evening. It's been beautiful speaking with you, Dr. Victor. Thank you so much for being here. And to our viewers, this is where we'll have to draw the curtain for today's show. And it's been wonderful. Mr. Victor has been speaking with us, Dr. Victor rather, has been speaking with us concerning the emergency declaration regards to insecurity made by Mr. President. And like I always say, security is everybody's business. It's not just for the government alone. When you see something, say something, report to the proper people in power and the proper people in the system. So don't just keep it to yourself. Until we'll come your way some other time, keep watching Kaftan Television, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now do have yourself a beautiful weekend.